Status Cuomo. Obama seems like the New York Fed, unwilling or afraid to use the bully pulpit. Well, the New York Fed, we got to pull some of this sound for tomorrow.
It's a lot.
But the long story short, the New York Fed realized it had a problem after the 2008 crisis. And there was some talk at the New York Fed of hiring people who are a little bit more strong-willed and a little bit more independent. Apparently they did, maybe not necessarily by plan. They hired a woman named Segarra. Her first name, what was that? Carmen Segarra. And she had worked in compliance departments with banks, so she had a pretty good sense of what she was talking about. And in one instance, she had met with Goldman Sachs to see and had talked to them about some of their transactions that looked a little problematic. When she came out of some of these meetings with her boss, she said, some of the stuff they said in there was sort of stunning. Things like they don't necessarily have to follow the law. I mean, more or less. And then her boss would say, look, you're misremembering what they said. And you're being too specific. At one point, she was supposed to find out if they had a conflict of interest policy. And they basically claimed they didn't have one. And she said to her boss, like, there's a problem. And he's like, you misinterpreted what they said. So she apparently went out and bought a hidden microphone and recorded 45 hours worth of conversations with Goldman Sachs and her boss. And you can see the regulators completely genuflecting to the Goldman Sachs people. And it shows how they didn't just have a bully pulpit. They had actual regulatory tools at their disposal. But it was almost like they were just intimidated. It sort of feels like a little brother, big brother type of scenario. Where they're too meek. I don't know if it's just outright corruption or just sort of some type of soft corruption, or just that you don't get hired at the New York Fed if you have this sense of like, we really got to, what they need to do is bring in a band of prosecutors in there. Instead of housing them at the banks. Maybe set up an office, downstairs from the bank. Pretty crazy. But we will cover this more in depth. Maybe we should try and get somebody on that story.